global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello, great people. Welcome back to our channel. We're so excited to have you again. Ibas, Vice Admiral retired, who is currently the sole administrator in Rivers State, is under intense heat right now, considering some statement he made some days ago when he talked about the issue of budgeting, that is preparing the 2025 budget for Rivers State. Right now, a strong message has been sent across to him coming from House of Representatives, and I must say that this is very interesting. Let's look at full details of what they have to tell him. And according to the news, the House of Representatives has issued a reminder to Rivers State Sole Administrator Vice Admiral Ibas, retired, emphasizing that he lacks the constitutional authority to make laws or draft a budget for the oil-rich states. Reported that the House stance follows Ibas' announcement of a plan to prepare a new budget after the declaration of a state of emergency in the state in March. In an interview on Sunday, the deputy spokesperson for the House, Philip Agbese, clarified that the sole administrator does not have the mandate to perform legislative function under the current circumstances. The sole administrator does not, according to him, he says the sole administrator does not have the authority to carry out the National Assembly's function of making laws under the current circumstances. The Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, is consulting with the leadership of the House to establish a committee to oversee the administrator's activities and ensure that the interests of Rivers State are represented. Agbese further explained that the House of Representatives had already communicated their position on the administrator's appointment and mandate to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He warned that if the sole administrator overstepped his constitutional boundaries, the House would take necessary action, including possibility of a vote of no confidence to ensure adherence to the rule of law. The political situation in Rivers State, stemming from a crisis between Governor Similar Fubara and the Rivers State House of Assembly, prompted President Tinubu to declare a state of emergency in March. This move resulted in the suspension of the governor and the state legislature for an initial period of 6 months. In place of Governor Fubara, Tinubu appointed Vice Admiral Ibas as sole administrator. Last week, Ibas revealed his intention to formulate a new budget to manage the state affairs for the next 6 months. While hosting a delegation of the Rivers State National Assembly caucus, Ibas reiterated his commitment to the people of the state and outlined his plan for the new budget. In his word, he said, since that the Supreme Court verdict on the state budget, we have acted swiftly and decided to put together a new budget that reflects our commitment to health, education, social services, and continued infrastructural development. Ibas emphasized that the new budget would focus on creating job opportunities and investing in key sectors such as agriculture, infrastructure, and technology. In his word, he says, we understand the urgency of these initiatives and we are committed to ensuring that they are implemented without delay. The sole administrator stressed that the budget will be transparent, inclusive, and expedited to improve the lives of the citizens. He also assured that the process would not lose any more time in making the necessary investment in the state future. This is interesting, I must say. Nigerians were already talking about the issue of budgeting. How is he running the state? I think at the point there's going to be a serious issue here. My colleague is in the House, and we just want to look at this House of Representatives coming in. Don't you think that Nigerians will keep questioning how the allocation of this particular state is spent, considering the fact that there is no budget? I think that's the reason why he immediately rushed to prepare a budget so that that question can be swept under the carpet. But House of Reps said, you're going beyond your legal boundaries, and we gotta stop you now. What do you think will be the resultant effect of this move by House of Reps?
There are a lot of question marks, a lot of, permit me to use the word illegalities. This particular thing has really never happened in Nigeria, a sole administrator, a lot of things he was meant to swear in oaths, where, okay, this is where your boundaries of jurisdiction stops on issues of this, but he was just appointed, and the only power given to him is that you've taken orders from certain set of persons. And now, the same allocation and the same budget that was the major reason why Fubara was suspended, it's now the bone of contention. So, how are you spending all these monies? How are you? Now, he's not trying to legitimize, legalize his stay. And legalizing the stay now means that you are sidelining the legislative arm. And if you successfully sideline the legislative arm, then what's the essence of the legislature? And that's where the National Assembly comes in. Now, I think he's looking at presenting the budget to the National Assembly, possibly. And now, if he's going to present the budget to the National Assembly, if it is the kind of Nigeria we have over time suspected to be, it will not be a case of now the legacies, the fund of a state is not open to all. So it's not a case of leave this thing. When you are inside the water must pass you. You must be touched by water. Even if you are saying you are going to allow it to pass through, but something will touch you. So it's not going to be a case of if you want. You know how some of them confess, some of these ministers, some of them who have confessed keep saying allegedly so that there's some certain things you need to settle for you to get some certain things. So before you present the budget, so you scale through, there must be some certain top persons you have to meet. And which means, by default of Fubara's docileness, the funds or the allocation of rivers may, allegedly so, become something that everyone will begin to know and begin to see. Sometimes when you see some
are you trying to talk about the issue of padding of the budget just to maybe...
At some point, because if he's going to present, because he's not trying to do some certain things, which is not within his jurisdiction, and the National Assembly is looking at it as, you can't do anything except we give you the approval. And then, there's some things that we are not privy to. One of such is the fact that when it comes to the national budget, the National Assembly is privy to it. We keep hearing things about pardon about it. Now imagine state budget of Rivers State that they've never really seen. Most state budgets have never been seen by National Assembly members. It's always their state assembly members that get to see it. But imagine now having access to Rivers budget. You're like, my goodness, this state have made so much, that kind of amount of money. You now begin to get very friendly. Even after now, if for any reason they reinstate Fubara, if any reason Fubara comes back, when it comes for any meeting, they'll be looking at him like, this guy is sitting on every money. Is that no wonder Minister Wiki doesn't want him to. This is the kind of money he sits on. No. Sometimes just knowledge is best not known. But if for any reason Ibas gives it now to the National Assembly, they are now aware of how rich Rivers is.
Now, another very important question I want you to answer is one of it bordering on the relationship of a governor with the state House of Assembly. Someone came out and was talking about the fact that before that it's not so easy for you to secure the signature or the approval of the House of Assembly if you don't carry them along when it comes to the issue of budgeting, that there needs to be some pampering, romance, and all of that. When all of that has been concluded, that's when you can now, go and present your budget. Do you think that that's what the National Assembly is trying to secure right now, for them to tell them not your legislative right or constitutional right? Do you think there will be need for all those pampering before he presents it?
I think probably that's where it's going to get to at some point, because at this point, you need us. Look, politics in Nigeria can be a bit dirty. If you need something, you got to pay something to get something. At this point, we know that you're sitting on money. Yes. Stop this pretense of trying to, you understand, literally. And we want us to be carried along. We want you to carry us along. We will not make it difficult for you. This other guy didn't know how to play the game. But if you roll, we'll roll. We can even keep it there till how long? And unfortunately, all of this, if you ask me, is really caused by Fubara.
Wow, that's where we'd like to leave it. Let's meet in a conversation and talk more on this. They have decided to halt him. Do you think that this may result to something that we least expected, possible padding of the budget of Rivers State? Let's interact in that conversation.